Where do I begin? Every time I'm watching the news and I think, oh, I have to cover that story. That's fucking insane. I have to cover. And then Trump nominates like a contagious pedophile meth head to lead the Department of Clean Living. And I'm like, oh, there goes my script. There it goes. So let's cover one of the most important things that happened that got only a little bit of media coverage. Donald Trump seems to be gearing up for war with Iran already. In fact, he didn't just warn them. He didn't just caution them. He put them on notice.
As of today, we are officially putting Iran on notice.
He put them on notice? I thought that was only something said by like high school dance teams. Like I thought like one girl goes, "You're on notice," and then the sassy gay guy on the other team goes, "Bring it," and then the smug popular white chick who doesn't know that she'll be waiting tables at Denny's her entire life goes, "It's already been brought." But I would think Iran has probably been on notice since they realized they were surrounded by U.S. military bases. Kinda like over there and then some there and then all over that. They were probably like, I think we're on notice. But don't worry. Even though Trump is pushing for war, the American people won't allow it. And more importantly, the Democrats in Congress won't allow it. In fact, while Trump has been busy pushing for war with Iran, the Democrats have been busy pushing for war with Iran. God damn it! Yes, they introduced House Joint Resolution 10, which authorized the use of military force to achieve the goal of preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. The resolution, introduced by Democrat Alcee Hastings, an extremely close ally of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Ah, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You might recall she was originally brought to life by a witch's spell cast over top an iron cauldron filled with minstrel blood and pterodactyl piss. The rest... I'm not a fan. Not a fan of hers. Not a fan. The resolution was presented on January 3rd when the Democrats already knew Emperor Babyfingers was about to take power. They didn't care. They want war. And they want to send you or somebody you know to go die in it. Going to war because we think a Middle Eastern country might develop weapons of mass destruction. Why does that sound familiar? Well, I'm sure it'll be a cakewalk, right? How bad could it possibly be? Apparently, our foreign policy is being designed by people with Alzheimer's. Here's a recent photo of our top Pentagon think tank. We'll say there's weapons of mass destruction. We haven't tried that yet, have we? Can I have your pudding? So that's the top of our Pentagon. So why are the Democrats and the Republicans, basically the entire corporate government, gearing up for war? Like the real reason, not the bullshit reason they're throwing at us. Well, one important factor, rarely mentioned by the mainstream media, is that Iran is getting ready to drop the petrodollar. They don't want to be paid for their oil in U.S. dollars anymore. So what does that matter? You know, sure, it'll hurt the American economy a little and perhaps send a message to other Arab nations that dropping the dollar is a good thing to do. But it's not like we would destroy a country just because they stopped using the dollar. Well, here's an interesting article from Time magazine in 2000, before we invaded Iraq. Iraq says it will no longer accept dollars for oil because it does not want to deal in the currency of the enemy. And it's not just Iraq. Remember when we destroyed Libya? Declassified emails reveal NATO killed Gaddafi to stop Libyan creation of gold-backed currency. This was also confirmed by John Perkins, author of the bestseller Confessions of an Economic Hitman, one of the books that first made me go, what? So many people are lying to us. John John Perkins said in the months running up to the UN resolution that allowed the U.S. and its allies to send troops into Libya, Muammar Gaddafi was openly advocating the creation of a new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. In fact, he called upon African and Muslim nations to join an alliance that would make this new currency, the gold dinar, their primary form of money and foreign exchange. This is not to be, these gold dinars are not to be confused with Trump's gold dinners that he eats every night. It's just a pile of gold that he just kind of scarfs down, and then he literally shits bricks of gold. Rumor has it he does that to stay one step ahead of Kim Jong-un, who apparently tells his people that he never shits at all. That's real, and that would also explain why he looks so bloated. Very backed up, my lower intestine has put me on notice. Perkins continues, the empire maintains a large standing military that is ready to protect the currency and the entire economic system that depends on it through extreme violence. The U.S., or more to the point, the corporatocracy, is doing it and is determined to punish any individual that tries to stop them. Gaddafi is but the latest example. Not anymore. Iran is about to be the latest example. And the Trump administration will tell you Iran is acting aggressive. Iran is now feeling emboldened.
Iran is now feeling emboldened.
You may think that we, the U.S., have exhibited destabilizing behavior across the Middle East, invading Afghanistan and Iraq and bombing Syria, Yemen, Libya, and other countries I would do a poor job pronouncing. But no, it is not our behavior that is destabilizing.
Underscore what should have been clear to the international community all along about Iran's destabilizing behavior across the entire Middle East.
Yes, they have been destabilizing by frowning at us while we were bombing all those countries. They were giving us the stink eye. And the 26,000 bombs we dropped in that region last year were the stabilizing kind of bombs. They don't even explode. They just fluffy down to the ground, and it's memory foam. They're memory foam bombs, really. But in case we haven't pushed Iran far enough, this month we're taking part in Operation Unified Trident, a joint exercise in the Persian Gulf that will simulate a military confrontation with Iran. Ron Paul's website said, how would Washington respond if a bill was active in the Iranian parliament authorizing war on the United States and the Iranian Navy began conducting joint exercises with the Chinese in the Gulf of Mexico, simulating an attack on the United States? I think we'd flip the fuck out. The only country we've allowed to attack the Gulf of Mexico and receive essentially no punishment is the oil country of BP, all right? BP attacked the Gulf of Mexico, fucking eliminated our fish, our turtles, our dolphins. Nailed it. I mean, what kind of sick fox attack a country's dolphins? Seriously. Or dolphins. But by, we then allowed them back into the Gulf of Mexico. See, we allowed them back in. I wonder what BP named their new project last year. Probably something designed to make us feel safe, to make us feel the Deepwater Horizon catastrophe could never happen again. They probably named it Operation Don't Worry, We Got This. You know, or Operation Sit Back and Enjoy This Video of a bunny rabbit wearing a funny hat while we hire someone to gently lick your nipples. They probably named it something like that. BP approves Mad Dog Phase 2. They named the project Mad Dog. Are you fucking kidding me? No, I can't. I'm done. I can't. Screw it. I can't. I'm out. Oh. They lie to us a little bit. They're not even, you now have a maniac in charge of our military, and he's named Mad Dog, and BP's next disaster is named Mad Dog. These assholes aren't even trying anymore. Point is, you destroy our water, our sea, our air, and we'll reward you with more contracts. But you fuck with our currency. You fuck with our global banking system. We will bomb the shit out of you. No number of destroyed lives is too many when it comes to ensuring our global economic dominance. A dominance in an economic system that is eating this planet alive. And that's why I have to say, corporatocracy, you're on notice. Coming to you from Washington, D.C., the Belly of the Beast. This is Redacted Tonight. Redacted Tonight, I'm Lee Camp. Now let's take the news from behind. Things that suck this week. The Dakota Access Pipeline was rammed through. More on that a little later. A racist is now the Attorney General. A billionaire woman who has never attended nor taught at a public school or university is now in charge of public schools and universities. But don't worry, she comes from good stock. Her parents started the pyramid scheme Amway, and her brother started the mercenary killing force Blackwater. Wow, that family's gene pool looks like a porta potty after Burning Man. Also this week, Republicans voted to do away with the only federal commission that makes sure voting machines can't be hacked. And they introduced a bill in the House that would get rid of the Environmental Protection Agency. Because, yeah, those are the biggest problems facing our country right now. Oh, yeah, just every time I see a healthy tree, I'm like, why? Why are you so protected? Stop being so healthy. You're ruining everything. But I like to think about the big picture. I like to take a step back from these little things that are happening to look at the big picture. Why are we in this current situation? Well, last week, Nancy Pelosi, one of the leaders of the Democratic Party, was asked about the big picture.
A Harvard University poll last May showed that people between the ages of 18 and 29, not just Democrats, not just leftists, 51% of people between 18 and 29 no longer support the system of capitalism. And that's not me asking you to make a radical statement about capitalism, but I'm just telling you that my experience is that the younger generation is moving left on economic issues.
Ah, capitalism. You can tell Pelosi is excited about that question because she's making her excited face. Which is very different from her angry face. Yes, Nancy Pelosi was put on the spot by a kid in a bow tie and suspenders. There's something very passive-aggressive about making someone look stupid while wearing a bow tie. You know, it's like being made to look dumb by someone who's wearing water wings. It just stings. That's how Bernie Sanders made Ted Cruz look so stupid during their CNN debate this week. Very, very rude. So yes, the kid pointed out that young people increasingly don't support capitalism because they realize it's destroying the planet. Pelosi's response was,
I have to say we're capitalist, and that's just the way it is.
Not exactly the most nuanced response. Next, Nancy went into a 3-minute jumble of buzzwords. I want to play a little bit, but I'm going to play it on fast forward because we don't have a year.
Around 20 years ago, it started to turn into, maybe 15, 20 years ago, it started to turn into shareholder capitalism. We're strictly talking about the quarterly report. So a CEO would make much more money by keeping pay low, even though productivity is rising, the workers not getting any more pay, and the CEO's getting a big pay because he's kept costs low by depriving workers of their share of the productivity that they created. And as I call it, a right angle going in the wrong direction.
Wow, I didn't realize a woman of that age could twist herself into a pretzel. The mental gymnastics you just pulled off to try and make it sound like you support capitalism, but also support working people, was incredible. That was... If anyone finds a hip on the floor on the way out, that's Nancy's, all right? She got tied up there. Millennials are not idiots. And apparently I'm like right on the cusp, but I'm still gonna act like I'm not one of them because I still want to be able to talk down to them when needed. They're not idiots. They can taste the fucking metals in their water, all right? They can tell the air smells funny even when they're not downwind from Steve Bannon, all right? They know they haven't seen an animal larger than a rat in 10 years in the wild, okay? They are aware that capitalism is destroying the world around us. And maybe the Democratic Party needs to learn that capitalism, profit over people, profit over all else, is killing us. And if I need to, I'll tell you that in a fucking bow tie, all right? I don't care. I don't care. We have to take a quick break, but Boston, Washington, D.C., Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, we have live shows coming up in your city. Email redacted tonight at rtamerica.tv for details. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Activists are planning emergency actions in 18 states after the Army has decided to allow the Dakota Access Pipeline. And it gets worse. North Dakota, among other states, are passing bills criminalizing peaceful protest. Here to discuss is our specialist on dissent, Naomi Caravani.
Lee, I prefer specialist on agitation.
You're dissenting on your introduction?
You're agitating me.
Sorry about that.
As we know, protesting is as American as apple pie. Pockets that are microwavable and travel friendly. They travel with you in your veins. It's called diabetes, Lee.
Okay, I've heard of it. Familiar.
But protesting is even more American than diabetes. Our founding fathers were the rabble-rousers behind the Boston Tea Party. But thank God now that's all changing and we can finally get some peace and quiet. Because lawmakers in North Dakota are introducing legislation that would protect drivers who hit and kill protesters in the streets.
They're making it legal to kill protesters.
Yes, yes. And sure, running over people might lack some subtlety.
Yeah.
But check it out. Imagine driving. Ooh, I don't agree with that opinion at all. Die, anarchist! Oh, shit, I think that was just a line for a Slipknot concert. It sounds like a lot of fun, Lee, you have to admit.
It sounds a little dangerous. Is this real? It can't be real.
Yes, it's real. This radical roadkill has been slowing down the Dakota pipeline. And finally, lawmakers are taking them seriously, as you can see in the State House hearing.
Protest isn't even the right word. During the riots, during the eco-terrorism.
This is the first time in North Dakota where we've seen a large scale of what I would consider terrorism.
They're calling the protesters terrorists.
Well, Lee, we know one man's freedom-fighting grandma marching through the snow, providing blankets to people getting blasted by water cannons in freezing temperatures, is another man's terrorist.
Right.
Everyone has a different definition of terrorism. Undercooked potatoes terrorize me. How can anyone handle that texture?
Okay, how else do you plan to deal with, do they plan to deal with the scourge of terrorism in the prairie?
Well, of course they're throwing them in jail. They're raising the penalty of causing economic damage to a felony and are broadening the definition of rioting to include standing still. Ask me to leave, Lee. Ask me to leave.
Gladly. Please leave.
Okay, now I'm officially rioting. Isn't this cool? See, this is a riot. Watch out. It's so easy now.
Naomi, protests are supposed to be disruptive. That's kind of the idea. That's the only way other people listen to the message.
No, the great Martin Luther King said, people are eating lunch. Let's limit our struggle to Twitter.
I don't recall him saying that.
Lee, we have to trust the politicians who have the intel on these protesters. Look.
The vast majority were trucked in, paid by outsiders to the tune of $115 or more a day, plus 3 meals. And then when they're not here, they'll go on and find another protest of which they will be subsidized.
He honestly thinks they're getting wined and dined. I think he's confused protesters with lobbyists.
Wait, they're getting paid? This changes everything. You know what? I'd like to submit my resume right now to protest. I'm a great chanter. I love marching, and I have no priors. Well, okay. There was one time I got naked in a daycare center, but I mean, it was President's Day. What was I supposed to do?
Naomi Karahani, everybody! Moving on. Among other things, the emboldened Republicans want to tear up any hint of remaining regulation on the big banks and Wall Street. To break down this very complicated topic, here's redacted correspondent John F. O'Donnell.
Great. I have to cover the finance story? Thanks a lot, Lee. I'm terrible with money. You know this. I can't even afford a full-length tie. I got this one as like a party favor someplace. Donald Trump moved to roll back the financial regulations brought in after the last financial crisis, directing a review of the Dodd-Frank Act, which was enacted to ensure there would never be another 2008-style meltdown. But wait, didn't Trump say throughout his campaign that he was going to stand up to Wall Street? Hey, Bernie Sanders, help me out with something here. We all know you're frugal with money. You know, you've saved up so much by not buying combs, all that sweet, sweet comb money that you're sitting on. What do you think?
This guy is a fraud. This guy ran for president of the United States saying, Donald Trump, I'm going to take on Wall Street. These guys are getting away with murder. And then suddenly he appoints all of these billionaires. His major financial advisor comes from Goldman Sachs, and now he's going to dismantle legislation that protects consumers.
Damn, the silver fox is back, and he's telling it like it is. Now, full disclosure, I have like $14 in my checking account, and the closest thing I have to a savings account is some Garbage Pail Kids cards from the 80s that I keep in my attic. Although, I'm pretty sure my autographed Snotty Scotty, that's gotta be worth something. The 6 biggest U.S. banks could potentially return more than $100 billion in capital to investors over time through dividends and share buybacks if the Trump administration succeeds in a push to loosen bank regulation. That might sound good, but that $100 billion is currently set aside as a buffer in case the banks fail again. Advocates of Dodd-Frank say it should stay in place. To be honest, it's way better than my financial backup plan, which consists of moving in with my mom and paying her rent with favor coupons that I've saved up from Mother's Days past. Oh, wait. I must have stolen them back from her. That's not even gonna work. Oh, I'm in trouble. Also on the chopping block is the Volcker Rule, which I wrongly thought was the mandatory way aliens from Star Trek say hello.
Live long and prosper.
Turns out those are Vulcans. I know. I got up my nerd game, okay? Stop judging me. I'm wearing a little tie. The Volcker Rule is a regulation that keeps investment banks from being allowed to encourage their customers to invest in a particular fund, only for the bank to take the opposite position and invest against the same fund, essentially ripping off their customers. I am falling asleep as I speak. Another target will be the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a Dodd-Frank creation originally proposed by Senator Warren. The CFPB has proved an effective consumer watchdog and has returned over $11 billion to the victims of payday lenders, loan sharks, and those charged excessive overdraft fees since its creation. I hate overdraft fees, man. I've paid more overdraft fees than bowls of soup I've eaten in my entire life, probably. And that's crazy, because I love soup, especially French onion. It's so good. So let me ask you this. How's all this gonna play out? Walking acid reflux, Jim Cramer?
I'm telling you right now that the days of coming down hard on the banks are over. And if the regulators let the banks return more capital to shareholders in the form of buybacks and dividends, then who the heck cares how much of Dodd-Frank gets repealed or how long it takes? It won't even matter.
Wow. It won't even matter? The days of coming down hard on the banks are over? I don't really know what that means, but it does not sound good at all. Because the only times that I come down hard is when I'm 72 hours into a Monster energy drink mixed with Whippets binge fest underneath a bridge. What? I told you, I'm bad with money. Reporting from Washington, John F. O'Donnell, redacted tonight.
We're all sick, tired, and wasted.
Here are your headlines from the future coming up next Tuesday. Paul Ryan, bewildered the nation, suddenly views him as a voice of reason. And a week from today, press noticing surprising number of geishas popping up around the White House. This coming Monday, Democratic leadership quietly hatches scheme in which they wait until Trump's 7th year in office, then forcefully stand up to him. That's our show. This week on my interview show, Redacted VIP, I talked with Bernie's former coordinator of political outreach, and he wants to draft Bernie to create a new political party. Get that interview at youtube.com/redacted tonight. Good night, and keep fighting!
Hey there, Redactivists. I'm John F. O'Donnell. Please make sure to subscribe here and watch more videos here. Thank you for supporting Redacted tonight. It means a lot. Let's continue to build this hilarious movement together. Keep fighting.